I'm here on behalf of my commissioner, Madam Harriet Ajulong, who was supposed to step in for Honorable Miingo, who was not able to make it because of other state duties. And my commissioner is also occupied. She's in northern Uganda, and I've come in to step in for her. And I really come in, and I know I will fit in the shoes, especially having been a teacher for 19 years and in charge of guidance and counseling and patron, prefectorial body. I know the brief things I'm going to share before I read the speech of the minister. Maybe they'll do something for us, especially you as student leaders. I want to thank, before after I move, I want to thank Drugs Hapana Initiative for the good work they are doing in schools, and Butabika National Referral Mental Hospital for the support they are giving. For us to be here and learn a lot from each other and learn more about drugs and alcohol and move out to support our different schools. Can we join our hands together and we give them a very big hand clap? Because many times people do things and we take them for granted. Thank you so much. The two groups I've actually talked about. I want to thank the schools that have allowed their learners to be here. When I was actually reading through the letter to the minister, I was looking at drug abuse and we're looking at excellent leadership. So no wonder we are here having the student leaders. And we try to look at, what drugs could really be meaning. I came out with something very small. And I understand. I read that drug abuse is drug use that causes harm to personal health, to others, and to society. That is my brief definition. Drug abuse is drug use that causes harm to personal health, to others, and to society. So my dear students, why should we go in for something that can actually cause harm to us, cause harm to others? We need to guard against it so that, remain sober, we study and finish and become what we would want to become. I know we have great men and great women here. We have lawyers here, we have engineers here, lawyers you're here, accountants you're here, auditors you're here, teachers you're here, and we need to remain sober so that really we actually come to achieve our dreams. Of course, like Dr. Hajatia was saying, many people are doing it, taking drugs, taking alcohol. To some people, they think it is actually normal, but it can't be normal when it can even cause harm to us and even to our colleagues. So I really urge you that we try to guard against it. It's a big problem in schools. We are aware as a ministry. It's a big problem. We have heard of children being expelled from schools because of drugs. Even in universities, it is a very big issue. People are misusing drugs. But we need to guard against such, dear students, so that we can make our parents, happy one time when we become very successful. We can make our schools, proud of us when we become very successful. I was trying to look at the different, drugs that maybe you take. I was looking at the soft drugs. We have things like caffeine. Those are the drugs we can talk about, the soft ones. Alcohol, of course, is also a soft drug. I was looking at the hard drugs, like heroin. Those are the hard ones. I was looking at the prescription drugs. Of course, those would be medical. Some of them that we are supposed to take, but we misuse them. Of course, like the painkillers. And I was also looking at the commercial, available drugs. When we talk of things like Cuba, which is very common in school, students are using it. I think you know about Cuba. It is something that students are fond of using. And all these are things that we need to guard against students. Cuba is a big issue. We have been in many schools and they talk about Cuba. Even, shopkeepers tell us, students come and buy from here. Please guard against it. These are dangers, to your health, and they will affect your performance even in school. And of course, we have many effects. They have been shared. We come into things of risky sexual behaviors. You You look at things like hormonal changes. Some people become violent. You look at things like brain effect. Doctors talked about it. Dr. Kasirye. That social behavior. The permanent indiscipline cases. You can't make it in school when you are indisciplined. Those are things that we should guard against. Look at, at decline in performance. There are many things that these drugs can bring to us. So my dear children, my dear students, I urge you to guard against all this. Yes, I have children, and I caution them all the time against this. Yeah, some of them have moved even out of university. I have an engineer, I have a doctor here. I have some still in the making. But I usually tell them, if you have to make it, you have to guard against, these things, so that you become a successful person, so that you make us as a family happy. I want you children, students, to work very hard and support even your colleagues back in your schools, so that they work very hard. Guard against these things. Study and finish. Go and make your people happy. Go and make your people proud. Make your school proud of you. Make your country proud of you. Why should we go for what we are seeing that is likely to put us into trouble? I want us to be people who can see far. Our young people are not seeing far. I want you to go with this as you go back to your schools. Can you go with that short statement? See far. If you're seeing far, you're always going to continue not to do the right thing. But some of you are not seeing far. That's why you want to take your alcohol, you want to take the smoke, you want to go into morality. Of course, homosexuality is around. You're doing many bad things that are not going to help you to become some good people in future. And of course, drugs, aside, as student leaders, you have to take the lead in fighting against these drugs. If you have to be an excellent leader, you have to take the lead. We know leadership is the capacity to rally people to a common purpose, and the character which inspires confidence and trust. We don't want you to disappoint the teachers and the children, back in your schools, the fellow students who really voted you in. You need to continue being an example, and you need to continue showing, being a role model in everything. If it is drugs, you can't be there as a student leader. If it is in discipline, you can't be there as a student leader. If it means being smart, it is smartness, and you must take number one, you must be number one, in the lead. If it is, keeping time, maybe for lessons, you must be number one in the lead. Are you getting it, students? You must be role models. You must be role models. Many times we feel bad when you hear that, for example, there was a strike, and even the head boy was involved. You people, you don't know what you're supposed to do, aren't you oriented? Even a head boy was oriented, but someone says he was taking lead. No, you must be role models in each and everything. Drug abuse, you must fight hard. You can't say, I'm taking drugs and I'm here taking I'm a student leader. No. You must take the lead. You must show the rest of the learners the right way to take. So you must act as role models. You must actively participate in school programs. You must actively participate as a student leader. If you think you will not, better surrender and say, for me, I'm resigning because I cannot manage. This is something I cannot do. You must come in and participate. Of course, you are allies, of the school administration and the rest of the school. You must unite. It is your role. It is your responsibility. You are allies. You must know this. You should not disunite. You should unite. You must be there to support your school. You must communicate with the other students to promote initiatives of the school. The rest of the learners should know through you what is happening, what is going on. Let's imagine a meal was served late. If people are about to strike, people are shouting and saying, what is it? You should have known from the administration and you said, please, maybe the supplier delayed. This is what is happening, and you calm down the situation. You must communicate the initiatives of the school to the rest of the administration, to the rest of the what? Of the students. You must be counselors. I don't expect you to be disciplinarians. In one school, we had a strike because some student leaders decided to discipline badly, a colleague. That is not your thing. You need to guide. Doctor here said it. You need to guide. You need to counsel. Be approachable so that these people don't fear you. They tell you what is happening and you can communicate the administration. And we hope also the administration would handle it in a very good way. So that, we keep, that, a good situation in our schools. Of course, we would expect you also to hold regular meetings. Talk about what is happening in the school. Give accountability. Class monitor, you're supposed to do this. What have you done? Head boy, this is happening. Counselor, this is happening. What have you done? So that you give feedback. You share what you're doing. And then from that, you even come up with more things that you're supposed to do. Or you credit yourselves, where you're doing very well. Regular meetings. In some of us, of course, when you go to the field, at times we're asking for files from you people. And we're saying, if someone invites you, you're officiating at the handover, and you're asking the head boy, what is your file that you're handing over to the incoming? And this head boy has nothing to submit. And then you tell us you have been reading. You can't even say these are the minutes we had, maybe for 3 or maybe 6 times in the whole year. You have to hold regular meetings and sit down and talk about issues, talk about sense that is going to support your what? To support your school. You are not there to enjoy the benefits of break tea, maybe no lining up, maybe school uniform. No, you are supposed to do work. Support the school so that, we have the school moving on properly what? Properly well. Many times I tend to give the example of Dr. Bitecherezo. When there was, when it was going to happen, there was going to be, I think, like a strike, in Barra High School, and this doctor got to know about it, and you are supposed to let the administration know what is going on. And I think students had planned maybe to attack the head teacher. After they had planned to attack him. And he quietly informed the head teacher, you have to quietly do it, even as report about drugs. You have to wisely do it. We saw in one school about a child who reported, some case that a certain student was doing, and this boy now decided to be harmful to the one who reported. Do it wisely. Are we getting it, student leaders? Don't just go shouting and saying, I'm going to say that you have done this. Do it wisely. And this doctor quietly approached the head teacher and told him what was going to happen to him. The head teacher moved away from his house. And later the students bombarded the house of the head teacher. And the head teacher was nowhere to be seen. The head boy had done his great job. I wrote a book and I included him. And I credited him for that. He did it wisely and he protected the head teacher. The head teacher moved out when he was very safe. And he didn't get involved in that strike. He made sure that the head teacher was out. And when the students found the head teacher was not in the house, of course, that was the end of it all. Because the students wanted him, and he was not there. The strike could not move on. That is how he hoped. So student leaders, you have a lot, to do. Let the drugs be there, but you are saying what other roles are you supposed, to participate in? Of course, coordinating the school activities, assisting and preparing, in preparing and setting up for school functions. You have to work extra hard because you are a student leader, and at the same time, you are a student. Academic-wise, we want you here. We want you to do something good. And of course, as a leader, we want you to do good. So when when you accept to be a leader, you must be ready to double your efforts. Double your efforts, because I know we have to work hard. I know Dr. wants an A that is genuine. Not an A that I'm getting because I've taken drugs. No, I also don't support. Surely get an A that you have genuinely struggled for, not taking drugs. But remember, when you are our head boy, when you are chairman council, we are looking at you. Everybody will be like, how did he perform? How did she perform? So you have that challenge. You have to double your efforts. And of course, as I finish on this part, teamwork is very crucial. Work together as a team. Because I know if class monitors are doing their part, prefects are doing their part, and counselors are doing their part, we shall have calmness and orderliness, and of course, good performance in our schools. Work as a team. Fulfill what you're supposed to do. Meet together and check yourselves. Are we doing it right or we are not doing it right? Of course, with the support of your patrons. Then at the end of the day, we shall have you people doing a good job. And I want to urge you, as you take these leadership responsibilities, always struggle to have a successful regime. For instance, a regime where there has not been any strike. It will go down history if things go bad in your what? In your regime. You come back to your school 10 years later, and people are like, this is the head boy, this is, the prefect, in whose regime we had A, B, C, D, F, G. I want to urge you to do your best to make sure that you finish your term of office very well when things, of course, have moved on very well. Of course, also as the leader, we expect you to be very patriotic. Fight hard for your school. Just like we would want to protect our homes, we'd expect you to protect your schools. Pass it on to your fellow students. Protect your schools. We feel perturbed when we see students, destroying your own school. You need to find your school, in the other state, 20 years down the road. Go back and say, wow, this is the hall we used to be in. This is my dormitory. Maybe it has been renovated. So that, we actually do well as student leaders. And when we are very organized and doing what we are supposed to do, I know all will go on well with you. I decided to share a bit of this, of course, having been a patron at one point, and I felt it would also give you something. And of course, finally, we say, continue to be very disciplined, continue, like I said, to be role models, set the pace for the other students, so that we have our schools, move on very well. If you are doing your work very well, the administrators, the teachers will find life very easy. But when you relax, they'll find life very, very difficult. As I wind up, this is actually what came out from the minister, and I want to read it as it is, and it goes. I'm sorry I didn't recognize the people that I came with. Madame Catherine and I've forgotten the name. Madame Catherine, stand up for recognition, and her sister there. These are Makerere University students on internship. They are with us in the ministry. They are very good ladies. And, we try to be very critical if we have to allow you to come and work with us. Especially on the way even you look, you must really be a teacher. You must be a decent person. So they are there, and we are happy working with them. Very decent, committed. They mind about time management, and they mind about their looks. So as you're there, and you think like, coming to work with us, these are some of the things that we tend to consider. So they're also here with us, and we said, let them come and be here, and they also listen in, especially, as we go to schools to talk about some of these issues like drugs. Minister's speech for on the second National Prefects Conference 2023, 22nd June 2023 at Hotel Africana. Dignitaries present, colleagues from education ministry and schools, the students from across the country, the media fraternity, ladies and gentlemen. I bring you greetings from the leadership of the education sector, especially the First Lady and Honorable Minister of Education, Mama Janet Museveni, who is a known champion of adolescent health and well-being for many years. The health and well-being of young people is inextricably linked to their ability to participate and attain in education. School is therefore considered the safest place not only for adolescent growth and development, but also the source of social behavioral change, love, nurturing, and peaceful coexistence. The outbreak of COVID-19, Ebola, and other pandemics, however, disrupted the social setting as schools were closed for almost 2 years, lives lost, families broken, violence worsened, hopes shattered, and use of narcotic substances as a coping mechanism among adolescents accelerated. It is with great pleasure that I stand here today to join you in a critical discussion we have started before about prevention of drugs and substance use amongst our children. I would like to join everyone here to commend Drugs Hapana Uganda, and I want to pause here and we actually clap for them again, for taking lead to champion the discussion. Drug abuse prevention indeed should be rooted in schools And student leaders play a great role to entrench, the culture. This year's theme, Stand Against Drug Abuse, is very timely as the different actors join efforts to save children and young people, the mayhem of narcotic substances on optimal performance of adolescents and young people. Our main goal today is to educate, inspire, and empower the student leaders against drugs and substance abuse amongst their peers. There is increasing evidence of the linkage between drug abuse and the mental illnesses among young people. There is influx, for example, of young people admitted daily into mental health units for rehabilitation than ever before. Students are getting more actively involved in the consumption of drugs as these are smuggled into schools in places listed suspected by teachers and the staff generally. The majority of young people experiment on drugs, mistakenly viewing it as a status symbol of modernity and a mark to celebrate adolescent stage. Drugs and substance abuse in Uganda has exposed many young people to risky situations, including school strikes, suicide, teenage pregnancies, unemployment, HIV and STI infections, school dropouts, and powerlessness. As the education sector, through the Department of Guidance and Counseling, we issued a guidance circular to all education institutions to prioritize mental health in all activities, including a mandatory 1 hour for psychosocial support to those struggling with mental challenges. We are finalizing sets of learner booklets on drugs and other mental issues activated by the Guidance and Counseling Working Group to coordinate sector interventions and tasked Mr. Saidisamba to coordinate mental health and psychosocial support interventions across the sector. He was actually the gentleman sitting next to me, but unfortunately he has moved out for some other activity. We should use the International Day Against Drug Abuse and Illicit Trafficking, which will be commemorated on every 26th June, to spread awareness as ambassadors of change, to raise awareness and improve understanding of the world drug abuse problem. We should also liaise with counselors at health centers to provide more specialized psychosocial support to victims of substance abuse. The law enforcement agencies too should be sensitized to understand the needs of victims of substance abuse to be rehabilitated and reintegrated in the society. The active involvement of civil society and media will enhance knowledge, attitude, and practices towards substance abuse preventive education across the country. I appreciate the contribution also of Tabika National Referral Hospital, CBS FM and UNESCO, Ministry of Education and Sports and Ministry of Health for not only the support to ensure this conference happens annually, but also the continuous effort to educate and empower young people to resist drugs and substance abuse. The student leaders here, I say thank you, because leadership is to inspire, guide, and offer service to people. Leadership is to inspire, guide, and offer service to people. That is the challenge that you have as leaders. Once again, I commend Drugs Hapana Uganda for investing in young people and organizing the second National Prefects Conference 2023. Let's continue the discussion and maybe start organizing similar regional conferences to benefit more student leaders. Our children, our future, and our future, our children. Be blessed for God and my country. I declare the conference open. Thank you
Thank
for
you.
listening to me.
Thank you. Thank you.